Hi, everybody. Tommy here from Queers and Soaps. I just wanted to introduce you to some friends of mine who are about to embark on some fun soap opera discussion. So tune in and enjoy, and I will see you soon.
Hi, and welcome to Peers and Soaps. This is Karen, my co-host for the day. I'm Eric, and we're going to do Swan's Crossing episodes 16 to 20. We're going to roll the credits and get into it. This show, this show is something.
Yeah.
Um, it's better than the third week, we'll say. I like, whatever, but we'll get into it.
I do
All
think
right, so
this week is much better than last week. Last week with the baseball
it
game
is.
was a drag. This week things are happening.
I like how it's like it's like all the same. Like there's something every Friday. Like every, like they talk about it like maybe second episode in, and they're like, okay, this is gonna happen, and that's the big event, and then the next week goes,
It does seem
and then
weird that
it's,
every single week there's some kind of big event. Like it's a
I
little
know.
crazy. It's like every week there's a party, there's a sleepover, there's
Well,
an event. It's
it's still
summer.
pretty
Summer.
it's still yeah, it's still summer, and it's pretty reasonable things. Like I mean, things happen in the summer, like
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I don't know. It's but they're I do give the writers a lot of credit because like for 20 minutes a day for, that's hard to write for a lot of people in 20 minutes a day for a big event to happen every week. So, I mean, it's impressive. Um, so everybody's celebrating after the baseball game win. Garrett doesn't seem to care where Sydney is. JT is still mad. He's very angry, this boy.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he is.
And it's all probably because of that pitching thing. Like, there's no good, like, I don't know, whatever. I guess I don't remember holding a grudge that long when I was a kid. I didn't seem to care like 5 minutes later. Um, Mila and Garrett give goo goo eyes to each other when they're at the Swans. The mayor and Sydney, she's all sad about it. The mayor's going on and on. So I guess like in the cliff, like they didn't really pick up where exactly the cliffhanger was. They were just like Garrett and all them were at the Swans, and she was with her mom back at the field still. Um, Jimmy's still all broody. They're still getting on my nerves in this episode.
Yeah, Neil is still being sexist.
Hmm. Yeah, but Neil doesn't he? He seems to warm up a little bit, and I don't know why.
He's very confusing in this crap of episodes. I guess because JT is so aggravated with Garrett that he can't work. That
Right,
Neil
maybe that's
Neil
why.
calms down. Like Neil calms down because like I think he maybe realizes that Glory is one of the reasons why JT's in a good mood and works because he warms up to her a lot in this
Yeah,
group.
he seems to like take a 180 with the girls because I guess because you're right, like he's something going on with JT, and he's like, I don't know what to do, so he has to turn to the women.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's pretty decent with them. Like he gives Katie a piggyback ride at one point. I don't remember when it was, but well, I think I wrote it somewhere.
Well, he also gets harassed in this episode for being sexist by the women, so maybe it was a little pushback and he's kind of reevaluating his attitude from
Yeah,
earlier on. I
good
like
on
it.
him.
I like it. It's
Oh, for
different.
sure. That was brutal when he was like that bad to them.
It was a little violent and scary. I'm like, this kid needs therapy.
And I don't know if it would exactly be women. Like maybe if he had a younger brother, he might still be the same. Just like he has a mission and he's very focused. And like if he gets distracted, he's like ah, like he
Yeah.
just seems like
Yeah,
that.
he maybe he does need siblings because
Yeah,
siblings are
right,
very distracting. Growing up with siblings, is you never get anything done.
right. Um,
So I
Mila
want
asked.
Oh,
Oh,
is this?
go ahead.
I didn't know if you were going to still do like, but I just wanted to talk about Sydney and the flowers because it's not a flower. It's like the one rose that Garrett had. It was smashed all over the ground over one of the bases, but the way they framed it, it looked like a grave with the flower over top of it.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah,
I
I didn't
love
make note
that.
of that. Yeah, that was weird. That was
The
in the beginning, right?
Yeah, well, the cinematography in this one is really interesting with Sydney running through the woods and ending up at her grandmother's grave, and like she's just very insanely dramatic through that whole
Yeah,
thing. It was interesting.
I,
I like the way it was
yeah,
filmed.
yeah. I have that coming up. So I have Mila asking Gloria about Garrett. She really seems to be into him now. I guess because he won the game. I don't know. Because I thought she liked Owen for a minute, but
I think
maybe
she still likes Owen. I don't think Mila knows how to be a normal person yet. And she's just kind of like interacting with people in strange ways because she seems to
yeah.
really like Sydney, and Sydney goes back and forth between being horrible to her and being nice to her.
I'm even confused. I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on.
Because Sydney can be very super nice. And then the next scene, she's plotting with Nancy to do mean things.
Right.
I don't
So
understand.
we're getting to Nancy now. So Nancy and Mila get into it a little bit about the color situation. She's like, "Oh, you finally got like the right color on." I guess because she had his jacket on or whatever. Um, I had Jazz ask Nancy to hand out floats. I'd be like, "Bitch, I don't work here."
Jazz
Like,
is
what is she?
annoying. Like Jazz is like supposed to be working, and she's constantly just like, and I get it, it's a bad job, and she's talking to people and like you said, she just farmed her workout on another girl.
Right.
She's just like,
And
here, you take it.
yeah, like, I mean, I would love to be that way with people and get away with it.
Yeah, fair
That's
enough.
cool. Maybe she's her own boss. I don't know. She doesn't seem to have a boss from what we see.
She's the only one that works there.
JT hates the attention Garrett's getting. He basically pushes his friend away, pushes Neil and Glory away. Sandy and Owen. Oh, he's still doing that thing. Every fucking time this woman's around, he sees this image. Like,
It's becoming like too much, and
yeah,
I'm starting to feel for Sandy because they're supposed to be writing music together, and Sandy can never stay because of Sid, and now Owen is like
yeah,
obsessing.
this is like week 4. Like, get over it, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
and
you're like her friend now. Like, stop.
yeah, like if you liked her, you should have like shoot your shot or something, like do something. And now she's googly eyes at Garrett.
Yeah. And now we have Sydney running through the woods screaming, Garrett, Garrett.
Insane. Insane.
I'm like,
Wonderful.
is this? I'm like, is this really happening? Was this really-
Come on.
So
When
I
she
don't know.
collapses, I think it did happen because she is that dramatic.
Oh, it
But when
did.
she
It did.
when she collapses on the grave and starts talking to her grandmother, and I'm like, what is happening in this girl's mind? Like she's like
Yeah.
the star of like a Casablanca-esque fantasy all the time. Like she's crazy.
Did you make note of what she said at the grave? Because I didn't.
Um,
I don't think I caught it, and I didn't want to rewind. She said something. I don't know. Like, I'll never let. I forget what it was. Something stupid, and I was like, really, lady?
I don't know. I just wrote lands on a grave. Oh wait, here it is. Promises to never break a promise again. It must have hit me weird, and that's why I wrote it down. I was like, what is that?
It was weird, and I missed it for some reason. Like, I don't know. It was crazy. But so we have Jimmy and Callie.
I don't care
Think
about them.
I know, but I must mention them for the fans that do.
I do.
I
I do later.
Yeah, same. So yeah, in these ones, I'm like, still annoying. She leaves or something, and he like acts like he's riding his bike. I was like, what the fuck is happening here? I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Whatever. That's
they like each other, but they don't know how to flirt like normal people because he's
and he took
very aggressive and she's very strange.
and he took his cast off. So I'm like, is he fine? Like, I was confused.
Is it a month later? Is that why there's an event every week? It's like every month. We don't
Is it
know.
everyone?
I don't know.
I don't know. Um, yeah, mention that.
Special mention to Katie this week. I love Katie, JT's little sister. She's a trip.
Yeah, yeah, she is a trip. I wasn't sure if they changed her because she looked different to me for some
No,
reason. I don't know.
it's the same girl, but
Same
like
girl.
she was so cute because she made Neil give her a piggyback ride back to the house, and then she did. She
Yeah,
made
that.
him give her a piggyback ride.
Yeah.
That was after all the women
Mila,
were harassing him.
Mila wants Garrett to stay for a float. These floats must be a big thing.
Well, they have no beer. They're children.
Bobby and I don't know what it does. Bobby have like an eating disorder? Like that's what I'm almost getting from this
I think
show.
it's just because the character he's playing of Sanjay is like a vegetarian, I guess. So Bobby, is suppressing his normal personality in favor of this Sanjay character
So
that he's
weird.
playing. Bobby is mentally ill and no one is helping him.
Um, so yeah, so I have Sydney falls at the grave. We talked about that. Um, the piggyback ride, we're good. And Sydney gets to Swan. She fixes her makeup all up after running through the woods trying to hunt Garrett down, and she sees Garrett's arm around Mila and walks out. The end. Episode 17. Varric is creepily in the shadows. I don't know
Okay,
what's happened with this man.
I think can I float a theory?
Go for it. I mean, are we at that point yet?
No, no, this
All
is
right.
when I came up with it because I
Okay,
wrote it
okay.
down. I think that Barrick is the spy that they sent to town to find Professor Van. Because
Mm.
every episode he is saying things like, I once used to be this profession and then I was that profession. And like he's just everything he does is so suspicious that I just don't believe him as like just this guy who wants to work in a garage. I think he's a spy.
Yeah, there's something going on.
He's a spy.
So what? Linked with the bald men
I don't know if he's linked with the Baldman.
or linked with?
I think he's linked with the people in the green light, not the people in the red light. Because like the bald men are in the red light, and then there's two other guys in green light, and I think they're probably the Americans. Although I'm not sure why they got green lighting instead of blue. That would have made more sense.
Right.
But I think he is going to turn out to be a spy or something because
Yeah,
he's the strange character. I don't believe him as this really weird, still flirting with Callie person.
yeah. So him and yeah, they have like a weird conversation. And he walks her to her submarine.
Did you notice the circus poster on the wall?
I don't think I did.
So when they walk there, they link arms and they walk down basically down an alley because they're going towards the submarine again. And they walk past a big poster of a clown and it's like circus coming soon. So I feel like we're going to see a circus in the future.
You're
And
probably right.
I cannot wait because how are they
Maybe
going to do that?
maybe that's the series finale.
But yeah, they did walk past the circus poster and I noticed clowns because they freak me out.
That would make sense though. That will be a Friday for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so I like Nancy sees Sydney outside and she's like, "What happened? You look homeless."
So I
And
think I was
I
I
do
think
have
I
a
was
note that she
go ahead.
looks like she rolled around in the dirt outside.
She does.
I'm like,
She
what the
does.
hell happened?
But
She looked fine.
I noticed in this episode like the relationship between Sydney and Nancy and I was like this is
Hmm.
Sid and Nancy like from the Sex Pistols. They've named them after these people who were bad for one another.
I didn't even think of that.
It came to me. I must have been connected to something. I'm like, ugh. I was like Sid
Is
and
it that
Nancy.
deep? Did it go that
No.
deep?
But if it is, it's like it makes sense because
They are
separately
very toxic
together.
for each other, yeah.
Separately, it's not that bad. But whenever they're together, they feed off each other's worst impulses. Like
Yeah.
Sydney sometimes is nice to Mila, and then Nancy comes and goes, "We have to do something bad to her." Like they're bad when they're together. So that's like
And
float that out there.
and Nancy's also a very shitty friend. She's like, she
Yes.
wasn't even gonna stay with her. Sydney's like begging her. She's like, I'll give you everything of mine for the night. And it was kind of funny though, because like Nancy's like, and this, and she's like, no. She's like, are you crazy?
It
She's like,
a
yeah, I'll say that.
a lavender outfit, some kind of lavender pajama set. I wrote it down because I was like, that's crazy.
I know, it was so funny.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess somebody turned off the computer at JT's. They kind of freak out about that. Katie wants Neil to read her a story. Now they're besties all of a sudden.
It is. It's so funny because she tries to climb like a little kid. She tries to climb into his lap so he'll read her a story, and he's like, "Oh no, I already gave you a ride home. This is over."
Yeah,
And they're like, "We're
right.
not going to read you a story." And JT's just basically like, "Will you get out of this room?" And she's like, "No." And I was like, "This is perfect little sister casting."
Yeah, it is.
I
And
love her.
my next note is bald guys. I didn't even
Oh,
write anything else.
bald guys, they were just kind of there.
They do the same thing they do every episode,
I
calling somebody, writing something. I don't know. I can't.
Oh, see, it is the Russians because I wrote down Russians have an agent in Swan's Crossing, so maybe he works for. I think he works for our guys. I don't think he's a bad guy, but
I was thinking that too, but yeah, I don't think he is.
I also wrote a note
But I
that
don't
said
know.
that
God,
Nancy does not cheer Sid up when she's there. She does not. She does nothing. You're
no.
right. She's a terrible friend.
Sydney should have turned to Sandy. What the fuck?
Well, she's awful to
Um,
Sandy. I hate when she's mean to Sandy.
I literally wrote Sydney is depressed while Nancy is an asshole. Nancy brings up revenge to cheer her up, I guess. Let's
Yeah.
get revenge. Sounds good. Um, but Katie reads while the boys do dumb shit.
I loved that story that she just keeps reading a little story about a muffin and a fairy and how they're friends. And this is just going on while other people are trying to be normal. And I was like, I love this so much.
It's so funny. Callie and Barrick talk about her dad. I have that they get down. What does that mean? They get down, they hear a noise, and he leaves.
Oh yeah. In this scene, she's kind of like questioning him on all these different places he's been in these jobs. She seems like she thinks he's sus. And then at one point he asks her about her dad and the species he's looking at and stuff, and she says they're snails without their shells, and I'm like, isn't that like slugs, like and then like something about a purple slug, but then he asks her if her father works for the government, and I was like, he is definitely some kind of
Yeah,
agent.
something, and
So
he's like
suspicious.
trying to get stuff out of them. So the JT part when he drew the pic of Garrett's face and put it on that. What are those things called? I didn't know what to call it. I
What do
put
you
it on
mean?
the inflatable thing. He puts it on like the inflatable thing, and then like he pitches at it like to hit it in the face.
I love that. I love that
Um,
he drew the picture. It's so funny.
and this is where they get a virus on the computer. The end, episode 18. We have Mrs. Booth, that is Garrett and Glory's mom,
Yes.
right?
Yes, his name is
Um,
Grant Booth. He has a middle name that's crazy because
no, the
apparently,
mom, Mrs. Booth.
oh, Mrs. Booth, her name.
I
I wrote
put.
it down. Where I wrote it down somewhere.
I don't think I
Anyway, I'll get
got
to it.
any. But yeah, so I guess she works at like a makeup place. There's Sandy is just like experimenting with makeup. She wants to be a
Okay,
rock star, tells all
so
this stuff.
the important part in this scene for me was that Garrett's dad told Garrett's mom that because he was running for mayor, that she needed to get a job. And so she decided to work at the makeup counter because makeup's the only thing she knows how to do. And I was like, this is sad and kind of aggressive on Grant's dad's part. And then she's so like she's sweet and southern and she's so wonderful with
Sandy,
Sandy, who has
yeah,
such a terrible self-esteem problem. It's
very.
it's
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
a
every
shame.
episode it's getting more and more depressing that this girl just will not stand up for herself, either to
But
Owen or either to Sydney or anyone. She does not stand up for herself.
they do have like a teen for every situation though. It
Yeah,
seems
they
like
do. They
this
do.
is kind of fun.
Yeah. My note was Booth made his wife get a job.
And they never show them together. Like they're
No, this is
never.
the first
This is
time
the
we've
first.
seen her.
Yeah, it's crazy. Um, so Mila wants to have a slumber party, and she says this time Tutu won't do the video.
Oh, I love Tutu. I would have
So
loved another Tutu
once
video.
once we hear slumber party, kids, what do we think Friday's episode's going to be
Oh my God,
about?
I think it's gonna be the slumber party.
No way.
I'm shocked.
We get that Sophia is a junior.
Yes, I thought she was like 30. So
Well, yeah, we know in real life she was 19 at the time because I did
Whoop,
look that up. But I
whoop.
guess she's supposed to be 17, 16. I
If
forget what I
she's
was in the
a
show.
junior, okay, so 14, 16 or 17.
Yeah.
Doing math in my head. I liked how Beric treated her, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so yeah, right. She comes in looking for Jimmy. Beric is there. He wants to help her with her car, whatever. It looks like she wants a piece of ass.
Yeah, yeah, I can't even argue with that because
Yeah,
she came in there aggressively flirting.
yeah,
And Beric is just like, "What are you doing, little girl?"
yeah.
Basically. And she's like, "Well, is Jimmy here? Is Jimmy here?" And he just keeps blowing her off until she gets mad and leaves. And Jimmy is there. He's like hiding.
Yeah, where was he? Was he right there? I feel like he was right there too. I'm like, how was he
He was like,
literally?
he ducked down. That was the only thing he did to hide. And I'm like, this girl, is she blind? What is happening?
I
And
know, it
he
was
had a,
so
he had a
weird.
bag with him, which they do reveal what's in the bag. But at first, I thought he was just carrying a bag of dirt. I did not know what he had in his hand.
Right. So Mila's going around inviting everybody to her, all the girls anyway, to her slumber party. Um,
Parties are so hard before the invention of like cell phones.
yeah, right.
You had to like walk
She,
around and find people.
yeah, right. She talks to Glory about Garrett again. I guess she wants more information.
Hmm.
Um, Sandy talks about starting a rock band with Owen. Or yeah, she said she is the music. I think she's still talking to Mrs. Booth at that part.
Yeah, she is, and she's learning makeup, and she looks really cute.
She does look cute.
I think she looks really cute, and nobody cares, which is sad.
My next note is Owen sings a terrible song.
Yeah. Oh
Again,
God,
a new one. We can't write enough terrible songs in the show.
I love them. Everyone is bad.
Mila comes on. He does the same thing again. This time he sees her with his jacket on, and she's looking all beautiful, wind flowing, whatever is going on.
But she's still in that same dress with the weird pearl accents. It's like orange or something.
Yeah.
I don't
And
get
now
him.
she wants to sing. Now she wants to sing.
She's just walking around trying out different normal human girl things. Like it's almost like she's an alien that came to town.
Right. I have Neil is worried about JT. He shows the poems to Glory. What's that about?
So okay. At first, I thought they
Poems are
were,
hilarious.
yeah, they are really great. But at first, I thought "Ode to a Dead Lizard" is pretty good. I thought, I thought they were initially Neil's, and he was trying to get some honest feedback, and it was like kind of
Mhm.
like a switcheroo. And then I realized
Right.
they really were JT's. And what I think he was trying to do was show Glory that JT isn't perfect, like so she would cut him some slack. And he's like, he's great at all these things. He's the worst poet who ever lived. He's not good at this. And
So funny.
Glory takes the poetry, and I think she gets what he's trying to say, because he's like, it doesn't rhyme. It's blank verse. It's just he wrote stuff down. It's awful. And it's personal. And I think that she wants to share interests with JT, but the only things JT seems to be interested in are sports and science
Yeah.
and hating Garrett
And
and
Glory at
Glory.
times. And Hayden Garrett. Very
Yeah, but they
more so
have
than everything.
nothing in common. They don't do anything together except go to the soda shop. I mean, they're children, so it's fine. But
Yeah. And my last note is Garrett and Sandy are talking. He says she looked really good in her video. I guess she did a video. Is it the same one that we always see? I don't know. And he thinks of Sydney, and it's over.
well, there's one thing I think is important in this episode for Sandy is Garrett notices that Sandy looks pretty and says something to her. And also when Sandy looks really pretty and gets to Owen and Mila, Owen's in the process of giving away Sandy's song to Mila while she's standing there. So
Yeah, that's true.
she gets kind of pushed to the side again by she only has really two friends. Sydney, who's awful, and Owen, who's oblivious.
Well, was she singing the song in this one? Or is that the next
he
one?
was telling her about the song and trying to give Mila the music for it, and he was like, "You could sing it. You could sing it." Like he is just really
Oh
pushing
yeah.
to
I
get
have that
Mila
list.
into this band.
Yeah, I have that listed for episode 19, where that's where it starts out. Sandy walks in and sees Mila and Owen
Yeah,
singing.
because it rolls back to it because I wrote "Sad Sandy."
That's Sandy.
Yeah, and
I
then I
know
wrote
it is
Nancy
sad.
and Sid eat crepes, and I was excited because Ralph was back. I love Ralph.
Oh, is that? Oh yeah, Nancy is. She's still at Sydney's house. I guess. She. Oh, it's the next morning, I think.
It's weird though because it feels like it's more like the next afternoon at 3 o'clock and everyone's still in
Right.
pajamas and no one's gone anywhere. It's really weird.
Oh yeah, it's so funny. So Nancy and her are plotting, like, what should we do? Whatever. Sydney seems to come up with a plan, and then of course, Mila's mom calls, Countess,
I love her.
calls,
So
and I
fun.
put, how convenient. And then Sydney, she loves making those faces, like, like I'm so bad. Definitely why she got the role of Kendall, by the way, because she's
She's
all
so
Kendall in this.
But you know what is so funny is the Countess. Like she's just like, you
Oh,
can help me.
yes.
And then she's like, what about Swedish meatballs and pedophores and caviar? And she's like, no.
Yeah. And again, so yeah, so she's helping Countess plan, whatever. It's bizarre.
Also, can we talk about her shirt that has presents all over it? What was that shirt? Did you
Was it which
the,
one?
the Countess had a navy blue shirt on that
Oh
had
yeah.
presents all over it. It was the craziest. I thought it was her pajamas and it wasn't.
Countess, she wears very bizarre clothes.
I adore her. She's so crazy.
Oh, she is. She's perfection in every way.
I know. I
I
love
mean,
her
if I had
so
to
much.
deal with her, she wouldn't be perfection, but I don't. So she's fun to watch.
No, if she were your mother, it would be so sad.
So I love when Sydney's on the phone with Countess and she says, "Oh, Ralph can fax that over." And he like stops Ralph's around. He stops in the room like and just continues on. It's like, this is my life.
But he makes excellent crepes. And then Nancy
I
starts
love him.
giving Sid a bunch of shit for eating more crepes. And she's like, Ralph's really good at making crepes, but then she only takes a little piece of the crepes because Nancy's fat shaming her. She's a bad. She
She
didn't even
is.
eat anything the day before. Give her a break. Her heart was
I
broken.
know.
She
Yeah,
fell in the
right?
grave. She was talking to her dead grandmother. Like she
Yeah,
had
she
a
wasn't
hard
eating.
day.
Yeah,
Ugh,
Nancy is
rough.
bad. I would say she's probably worse than Sydney for sure.
I think so. I think her motivations are just to shit stir. Like that seems to be her
Yeah.
only motivation in town.
So Neil's still worried about JT. Sydney calls and wants the boys invited to the party. Like, do they invite them? I'm confused. Like, they secretly invite them to tell them
Okay,
to bust in.
so apparently, traditionally in this town, anytime the girls have a slumber party, the boys crash. So Sid knew if she talked Mila into having a sleepover, the boys would crash as soon as the boys find out about it. And that seems to be exactly what the boys do. They're like, oh, they're having a sleepover? Time to plan a crash. And I'm just
They
like, this is
plan, yeah.
hilarious.
So
Um,
weird.
yeah, it's weird. And I don't know. All our friends, we always had a mixed gender group of friends. So like this was never kind of
Yeah.
our issue.
And Nancy, I like how Nancy is frustrated that she is not included in Sid's plan. Sydney's not even telling her anything, which is great.
Hmm.
Which I don't even think Sydney knows what her fucking plan is because I still didn't know. I'm like, what is
I
happening?
think she had an idea that if the boys were going to go there, she was going to figure. I think her plan the entire time is what happens on Friday.
Just the boys, yeah, which were
Just.
almost too.
I think it was the. We'll get to it, but like I think that was her plan, and then the end
And
of it,
just like it would fuck it up. Yeah.
yeah, and then she just made it worse and made it worse. She just
Um,
wanted to show Mila what a jerk Garrett is. I think.
I like so Mila and Gloria are talking again.
Mhm.
And apparently Garrett gave his picture to Mila, which cracked me up. I'm like, who does that?
She's walking around dreamy eyed looking at this cast photo of Garrett
I know.
And I
She
was
said
like,
try,
I was never like this as a child. This is pure television.
and they're basically talking about what it's like to be in love because they're both crushing on people. Like whatever.
Hmm. And it was very pathetic.
So
Sad.
Jazz gets involved again. She tells Nancy and Sid what goes around comes around when she's suspicious of what they're talking about at the table here. I'm like, this girl, she loves getting involved in shit.
She, I don't understand because like Jazz looks like again, like some of these people who are supposed to be older teens look like whole ass adults. And it seems like they shouldn't be involved or talking to these teens at all without like,
Right.
Chris Hansen showing up. Like it gets weird.
It is weird. It is. It's very strange.
I do love that the
Um,
Countess doesn't know what s'mores are. That I couldn't stop thinking about how she didn't know what the s'mores
oh,
are.
yeah, that was funny. We have Elton John and
Yeah,
Please Don't Go.
yeah, yeah. Please don't go.
Please Don't Go was always a weird song to me. I'm like, it's literally the same thing over and over. Please Don't Go,
Hmm.
100 million times. But anyway, we heard them in the background.
Yes.
Um, then there was something about Neo trying to get rid of the viruses on his computer, and that was pretty much the end of that one.
There's a lot in here I want to talk about in 19 before we jump to 20.
Okay.
Um, the one is the best line out of this episode is from the Countess, where she says, "Onion dip is truly a foreign concept to Greta." And I was like, what is happening there? Like, she just doesn't. I did write down, oh my God, no, when the picture showed up.
Yeah, because that actually continues in episode 20, that line, kind of.
And the conversation between Owen and Neil was interesting because Owen is so positive about love and keeps turning all of Neil's digs like around. He's like, "Oh, it's like a virus." And he's like, "Then I want to catch it." Like and it just keeps going. And it's just kind of they showed really well in this episode the immaturity of these characters and how they think about love because they think about
Yeah.
love in such kind of basic terms because like Glory's just like you're sad when they're not there and like everything's horrible when they're not around and I'm like uh-huh, and then like Neil is
Definitely
just
how
like
kids think.
yeah, it was very much how kids think about it, and Glory is
Yeah.
the one who invited all the boys by just telling them that there was a sleepover. And there was
Yeah.
one other line in this that was incredible was when Neil was put on hold for Sydney, and she comes back and she's like, "Neil, are you still there?" And he goes, "I was in the zero gravity world of hold." Like, what the
Yeah.
hell is that? So I have to tell you, like sometimes these writers they get me, like they get me with these great lines,
With the
and I'm like,
bizarre lines.
yeah, and I was like, that's fantastic. It's fantastic. Come on, that's a thing you would say if you were trapped on hold forever and you were a
Yeah,
nerd.
right.
Yeah,
We probably did. Yeah.
probably. I was a huge nerd, and a
So
huge.
now it's Friday's episode. We're on episode
Yay! I wonder what's
20.
happening today.
Wonder. Beric and Jimmy harass Callie about going to the slumber party, which I thought was kind of
So
shitty.
it was really, really. That's when I sent you that text message when I was like, "Oh, the sexist writers from Dallas are here," because she's not a feminine girl and like her. She was so me in this entire
Right,
episode. I was cracking up,
right.
but they were
She
really,
wanted no parts of it.
yeah, they were shitty and they bullied her into going.
Yeah,
I didn't like
she wanted
that.
to like basically stay at work, and
I kept writing, "Ew, Beric, ew, no." I hate him.
um. So I have that Countess and Tutu help prepare for the slumber party,
I love Tutu.
and the s'mores with caviar.
How did that happen?
I don't know. Countess shouldn't be in charge.
No, never.
She should have a major domo. So, so everybody, the girls all come to the party, I guess. The Countess is telling the girls some stories. Um, what did she say?
She brings out the wig that was Sydney's mother's wig, and I was like,
Yeah.
that is the worst wig I have ever seen.
And Sydney's mother went by Muffy.
Yeah, Muffy. Muffy.
I'm like, is that a nickname? I hope.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So her name's not Muffy.
No, her name wouldn't be Muffy. That's insane.
And then I guess she fired the cook because the other one couldn't handle the s'mores.
I do like that, like and Sydney and Nancy. Now I'm calling them Sid and Nancy in my head.
Sid and
They
Nancy.
when they
You
got
can.
in the but when they got in the elevator, they were kind of stuck in the elevator for a minute. Like the background music they chose to play was like them going to war. It was like very militaristic, and I'm like, they are ready to go like balls to the wall. Whatever this plan is, it's on, and they're
Yeah.
using Mila to make it happen. And then we just run into, oh my god, okay, so they do a slumber party montage
Yeah.
to Hold Me Baby from A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. And I can't get the idea of Jesse dancing on the bed out of my head because that's the song. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's the party begins. That's the montage. They do the bunny. Is that the bunny hop? I forget when they all. What is
I
that thing?
I don't care.
They're dancing around. They do a fashion show. They do makeup. They do face masks. They do everything they're
Polaroids,
supposed to do.
everything,
Yeah,
everything.
Polaroids.
They're all
That
wearing
was
terrible
funny.
wigs. It's so cute.
Yeah, Glory brings out the wigs. It is pretty funny. I have Garrett and the boys are at the bike shop, um, messing with JT. I guess with Garrett playing around.
But they're there planning to
They're
go to
still trying
the
to bully
party.
Callie out. So
Yeah.
Callie's with them. Yeah.
They're like, you go, you go.
Then the next scene is the girls singing and dancing to Jump Jump.
Didn't expect to hear Crisscross again, did you? And yet here we
No.
are.
And Sandy singing it. That was cool.
It was
She did
funny.
good. Countess comes in again. Callie scopes the place. They put him. So yeah, Callie comes in at this point. They
So
attack her.
when Callie comes in, I have been in that position where everything is just like not the way you live your life, and then
Right.
everyone is like forced. I wrote forced female bonding because like they were painting her face. They shoved a wig on her head. She looked horrified the entire
Yeah.
time, and I was like, I feel for you. I would not want to be in this party either.
I feel your pain. Yeah, it
I
looked
didn't
kind of
know.
painful.
It looked like she was being tortured.
Um,
And also I wrote
yeah,
Sandy hates Mila because she kept giving her death stares through this whole thing.
yeah. Oh, so Sydney brings up the game, Who Am I? And this is
Oh, this was a
then they have
nightmare.
then we see the boys on the motorbikes heading to Mila's place, which was really weird.
Yeah, it looked
Like,
like
what
they
is
were
happening?
planning an attack.
It felt
Um,
very 80s. Like I
it did.
don't know, like a bad 80s
Well,
movie.
even when Callie came into the room and she was still wearing her helmet before she came in, and then they switched to the weird blue filter to show the helmet cam of her
Yeah,
coming in. And I'm always like, this show is really having a lot of fun with filming different techniques to do the same thing. And
they really are.
I kept writing, why is Barrick involved in any of this? Why would he send them there? What is his deal?
Because
What's
he's a
happening?
spy.
I know. And then I wrote, Owen is the only one not wearing a helmet. But then I realized he has a bicycle and they all
He's
have
on his
like
bike.
mopeds. Yeah.
So the girls are beatboxing. I guess that's what it is. It's the Who Am I game is a beatboxing, roasting each girl type
It's
thing. It's like
mean.
one girl gets to roast another. It is mean, but I guess this is how Sydney's plan comes out to get Mila against Garrett.
I thought it was like the cruelest game. All it
Oh
is
my
just
God, it is
hurt everyone's
terrible.
feelings.
So it gets up to Sydney. She basically reads the contract that she made with Garrett about fucking with Mila.
Yeah.
Um, points out that Garrett is a dirty dog.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
and
then they all start bashing Garrett.
then they then they do the cross your heart, sisters forever shit.
I wrote it was like a seance. I was like, there's candles all around and they're chanting. I'm like, this is some witchcraft shit. And then they're making a pact. And it's like
It was
sisters
weird.
forever, sisters forever. And I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, it reminded me of Charmed a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of Charmed. If they had said something about the power of three, I would not have been surprised.
And the cliffhanger is the boys enter through the window. The end of this week.
Boys who need them.
We do.
so So like I loved this episode because like the montage was insane. They had a lot of fun with it. The karaoke was
They did.
insane. The face masks where they weren't even putting them on properly. They just had like splashes of green or splashes of gold on their faces.
Were they even real masks? I'm like, is that made them
They're
back
the
then?
ones I don't think they were real masks. I think they were just slapping makeup on the girls to make it look like they were wearing masks because there are gold leaf masks and there are like green mud clay masks, but it looked
Yeah,
like
there was
someone
all
was just
kinds.
slapping you with it and they were doing each other's makeup. And I did feel for Sandy again because like Mila is so nice. It's hard to hate her, but she's
It
she's
really is.
she's so pretty and all the boys like her, and Sandy already has
Yeah.
a complex about nobody remembering her and everybody forgetting about her all the time, and then they do. So it's like her worst nightmare keeps coming true more and more each episode. So I liked this week way better than last
Oh
week.
my God, it was way better than that.
Yeah. And we are
So
getting
thank you,
somewhere with
Swans, for
the
coming
yeah,
through.
thank you, Swans. We are getting somewhere with the Russians and all the spy.
Oh my
It's just a
God.
slow drip on that storyline.
Uh, those Russians, I'm like, just I want them to do more. Like, give them a couple minutes and like tell us something. I feel like they're not doing
I
anything with that.
want to know what UB2B is. Like, what is it? I know it's a formula. I know that these nerds are doing math. I know that they get a bunch of equipment from their teacher to do whatever it is they're doing, but all they ever seem to do is type on what looks like a tandy and it just has big words on it. And then the Russians, the bald men in a red room are just like, this will help us take over the world. How? What is it? What does it do? I need to know.
As usual in this show, I have no idea what's happening. I just feel like I need to be drunk watching this show.
I do. Oh man, I don't drink that much anymore, but I wish I did.
I know, same.
Yeah, I wish I did. I wish I was like toasted every time I watch the show. Or, I mean, it would be really fun to be like messed up and be like, yeah, crisscross, let's do it. Yeah, like that's a perfect karaoke song.
Well, on that note, we'll wrap up this episode. This week was fun, and hopefully next week's will be more fun. I guess I don't know. The fallout from this party is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll get back to you soon with more episodes of this. Thanks for joining Queers and Soaps for today. Have a good night, peeps. Follow us on all the socials, and goodbye.